Hello everybody and welcome back to LawWon Gaming. Today is another episode of Stellaris Combat Theory, and this episode is a special user-requested video. Zachary Nielsen, and Chase Price have wrote in asking about them Amoeba boys. Well, today, we're finally going to answer the question, what good are they? But first, roll that intro! Hello all, LawWon Gaming here to remind you of my 30 days of giveaway. That's right, for 30 days I'm giving out Steam gift cards. To qualify for a chance to get one, all you gotta do is like, comment, and subscribe. For more details, check out my announcement video in the description below. And without further ado, on with the show. The first thing we need to do is figure out, 1, what role amoebas perform in combat, and 2, where they lie on the power scale for that role. The first question's easy. Amoebas perform a role similar to bombers, taking the same type of slot, hangar, having similar stats listed, and acting as bombers do in combat. The second question requires an examination of the numbers and some testing. For the numbers, we can do a quick comparison of the stats and see that amoebas are highly similar to Mark I bombers in damage and most other stats. However, amoebas have a maximum of 4 strike craft with a cooldown of 5, while bombers have 8 strike craft with a cooldown of 10. If this was the only difference, we could expect similar performance between the two, but amoebas also only have 70% accuracy. Based on these stats, we can devise what I call a damage rate, equal to the average damage times number of craft times accuracy divided by cooldown. This number gives us a rough metric by which to compare the bombers and the amoebas, at least on paper. And from this we can see that amoebas come up far short against Mark I bombers. So, we need to test, and after a series of encounters, the amoebas lose every single time. Badly. But I'm not entirely done. Amoebas are organic, so I was wondering if maybe they had some sort of hidden trait where they can heal and bombers don't. I thought maybe Paradox is up to something tricksy. So I loaded on some anti-air measures and sent the amoebas off to fight the bombers once more. And this time, the amoebas lost even worse. This sort of makes sense since the amoebas have less HP and only have 4 strike craft. So you would expect the amoebas to die quicker and perform worse, which they did. As such, the results are clear. In a straight comparison against bombers, amoebas rank dead last. Now that we know where amoebas rank, it's time to figure out if they're worthwhile compared to the other mounts. After all, if you're using hangars, you're excluding things like large or multiple medium weapons. So, first and foremost, I'm going to exclude battleships from further testing, because I will assume that if you have battleships unlocked, you're likely to have Strikecraft level 1 researched or be close to it, in which case the amoebas are already out of the question. Therefore, we only need to look at cruisers, specifically the middle mount. As such, the options are thus: 2 point defense and amoebas, 1 mid and 1 large weapon, 3 mid weapons, or 2 small and 2 torpedo weapons. For a roughly fair comparison, we're going to assume that only Mark III weapons have been unlocked and Mark I torpedoes, but not photon or neutron torpedoes. After all, we've already established that if you're using amoebas, you're in the early to mid-game tech-wise. From here, we go back to our damage rate formula from before, and do a quick comparison to see which mounts provide the highest rate, ignoring other modifiers for now. It's also at this point that I realize the damage rate formula I created is the listed average damage for every weapon except the amoebas. For all other weapons, the average damage takes into account the accuracy, cooldown, and number of strike craft where relevant. But for the amoebas, it incorrectly lists it as if the amoebas had 100% accuracy. From here, the comparison becomes much easier. Based on the raw numbers alone, we expect the amoebas to do the least damage, and therefore lose against every other ship type. However, the amoebas come with some anti-air measures, so they could stand a chance against the Mark I torpedo or missile ships. And as testing shows, the amoebas do beat out both missile and torpedo models, as well as losing against laser and cannons. But this was without including things like armor and shields. And when we add armor and shields to the equation, the amoebas come out on top overall, even against lasers and cannons. This is due to the amoeba's ability to ignore shields and half armor, despite having the lowest average damage. Putting all of this together, we can come to a few conclusions. First, amoebas flat out lose to bombers, so they're really only viable for a very limited period of time. that being after you unlock cruisers but before you research bombers, which is viable considering that amoebas are researched through society tech unlike most weapons. Second, amoebas appear to be most viable when you first unlock cruisers and the enemy is not using a lot of anti-air. This is because despite having the lowest average damage, amoebas, like bombers, easily punch through defenses. However, in a raw damage comparison, you'd probably be better off using torpedoes as they can also punch through defenses rather easily. In short, if the enemy has no anti-air, go torpedo and missile. If they have some, use amoebas. If they have a lot, go with something else. Third, amoebas can be level 3 weapons when you take armor and shields into account. However, due to their low accuracy and zero tracking, you'd most likely want to avoid using amoebas against corvette swarms. As such, the ideal amoeba target is an enemy with a little anti-air, high defenses, and is using capital ships and or forts. And even if your enemy does not have these ships, you could include an amoeba squadron with your fleet and use it for bombing down starports. And that's all I've got for now. I hope this helps you understand the role of amoebas and gives you an idea of when they'd be most useful for you to use. As always, if you think I've missed something with this topic or want me to cover another topic, feel free to let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, I'm done for now. This has been Stellaris Combat Theory with LawWon Gaming. Be sure to like, comment, and sub for the gift card giveaway that's going on for the next 30 days. And without anything else, I'll see you next time, Space Cowboys.